All right, hopefully everyone has returned from the abyss. Oh, so we have about 40 minutes left to for this last session, which will be Dream Report. Can I get a verbal cue that I am sharing the correct screen this time?
You are sharing Dream Report overview.
Right, but you see my presenter screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Great. Thank you. So just a brief agenda for this session. We're going to be doing a introduction. I'm going to walk you through some of the parts of the software, and then you can follow along and perform yourself. I have different reports already previously generated that we can edit and view. These are PDF reports, and also we have a web portal report that you can view in a web browser. So what is Dream Report? If you're not familiar with it, it is a real-time connectivity reporting platform for connecting to SCADA, HMI, PLCs, SQL servers, CSV files, Excel files. It's really easy to use. There's not a lot of programming or scripting involved. And the idea is that you can scale it to a all-in-one solution, and you can automatically generate reports based off of a specific tag value. Or let's say you come in on Monday and you want a report to look at in the morning. You don't need to generate yourself. You can just set it up to run at a specific time. And you can also set it up to look at live values or historical data. So what have customers essentially needed, or why have they invested the time to learn Dream Report? Some companies need compliance, need to run, stay fit in the business. A lot of companies, they want to know the information so that they can have access to that, how their business can run better. These days, there's so much data that it's just an influx of data, and you want to be able to utilize that data as best as you can. And so Dream Report helps with understanding the data that you have through tree structure design, but then also lets you create reports that other people can understand the data that you're looking at. You don't want the only people to know how to make the reports and read the reports of the engineers. You want people in the business, management, executive team, everyone to be able to look at those reports and understand them. And finally, people want to be able to, like I said, better understand their data so that they can empower the workforce and maintain a consistent level of transparency throughout the company. So how it works is you connect to a specific data source, anything from PLCs, HMIs, SQL databases, CSV files. And then you design and configure that report based on your specific specifications, templates, pictures, whatever specific layout you want to look at. And then you can generate those reports through PDF or a web portal. And then you can distribute those reports you can print them out or share them in mobile. So Dream Report also utilizes user management for specific domain users and user groups. So you can have mechanics, electricians. You can have specific groups of people assigned to specific types of reports. There is version control, so you can track user changes that people make to specific reports, and you can also roll back to specific certified report versions. And finally, you can record all the runtime activities for a specific report. And there's also electronic signatures. So you can view Dream Reports mobile on your phone. And you can also use a web portal that allows anyone with access to the internet to be able to access your network to look at reports. So you don't need everyone accessing Dream Report through the editor. They can just simply log on to this web portal and then access the reports from there. Additionally, you can create manual data entry reports. so that you can, maybe if you have something you need to look at, pH level or status of a specific machine, you can create those reports live and then save them using the web portal. And this is just another view of the manual data entry. So every icon in here is stored as a manual data input. And just another closer view of the web portal. You can create PDF views of the specific reports. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see all of your reports in a tree-like structure. And this is a dashboard that you can view inside of Dream Reports. You can create specific reports using graphs or icons, widgets. And finally, you can, the objects that you utilize inside of this web portal are dynamic, and you can play around with them and change them, save them as needed, export them to CSV, copy them, etc. All right, so that is the Dream Report outline. So let's go ahead and everyone access your computer once again. And you should see a desktop like this. And there will be a Dream Report logo, or we're going to close this Excel sheet. There will be a Dream Report logo on the taskbar. So if you go ahead and click on the Dream Report Studio, Dream Report will open up. And so I'll just wait a minute for everyone to get to this location. Is anyone not able to access Dream Report? So there's, when you see the open project page, we're going to go ahead and select on Man WS and click OK. And that will open up the project that has already been set up. So on the left-hand side, we're going to see a quick launch toolbar. These are actions that are used multiple times. And in the top ribbon, we're going to see a Windows software feature that, or it's called Windows-based platform. So you're going to see the ribbon like you would in Word or Excel with different options available. And then on the right-hand side are going to be a lot of the objects that you're going to use to generate and create reports. So we have single data objects, which are used for creating a single point. If you want to look at one maximum value over the last month, you might use this. Charts and tables are used to look at all of the data over a specific time range. And then you can also create a chart. Bar graph, pie graphs, date and time, if you want to look at a specific date and time on a report, when it was generated, when the start and stop time was, page number, and then also dynamic text. Dynamic text is great for displaying the actual report name of your report. In the top left side under the quick launch, there is the driver configuration. And if you go ahead and click that, this will show how data is being transmitted into Dream Report. So on the left-hand side, we have all the different drivers that have been already Dream Report comes with these drivers already ready to go. So we have Emerson, Cytec, Rockwell, Schneider Electric, and then Wonderware. If we click on Wonderware, these are all the different drivers that have already been set up, ready to be connected. And on the right-hand side, we can look at the different connections that have been configured. Now, everything in here is simulated except for Insight DB. Now, if you recognize the name Insight, the product that we've been using for the last 2 sessions, we're going to be pulling in data from Insight into Dream Report. If I clicked on Configure, you can see that the server root here is highlighted, for this is the how we're connecting to our Insight solution, and then I have my name logged in here with my password. And if you go ahead and click Test Connection, you should see that the Insight will be connected to the Dream Report. But you don't need to change anything to this. I just want to show you guys, this is where we're pulling all of our data from. Okay, so let's go ahead and make some reports. So I'm going to hit Cancel, and I'm going to click on Workcell Raw. So Workcell Raw is utilizing Insight data from this item table. So if I click on the item table, I will see that we're using the source of Insight DB, and we're looking at press 1 values and state current values. And if you wanted to change what you were looking at, you could click on the edit list and navigate to these tags that you're interested in looking at. So our machines are all located under Edge WC. And in here, this is where you would find all of our different machines and the tags that we've been creating charts with. So to create a simple report, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Run Project icon on the left-hand side. And that's going to open up our Runtime Management Console. If you guys have any questions, speak up. Let me know. All right, if you guys are chatting it, let's see if there's any. Nope, chat's clear. Okay, so this is the Runtime Management Console. This is where you generate and run the reports. So I'm going to click on Workcell Raw, click it, make sure it's blue, and then right-click it and click Generate. Now that's going to generate a new report. It might take a minute because we're looking at all the raw values for our machine. And so it will automatically create a PDF. And so it looks like we're looking at values from 1102 all the way up to 1103. So we're getting values every second. So this is going to show all of the values for the last 150 values for our machine 1 pressure and state. So we can see that the pressure 1 was 73 and our state is 5. So what we could do also is actually go back into our Wonderware or our Insight and look at our equipment efficiency for machine 1. And we would be able to look at those specific values and how they correlate. Oops, did not mean to do that. So back in the SkyTap. So if we click on our table, we can see that the time period that we have selected to use is we're using morning shift. And so this is a predetermined time range to select. Now this can be changed inside of our tools at the top, Time Definition Manager. So we can see that there are 2 shifts already created. Now I'm not sure, I don't think I had created the day shift in the other machine. So you should just see morning shift. But we'll see morning shift has a fixed period of current 5 hours. So that's what this table is referencing. And then our start times and end times, if we double click on the date icon, we're going to see that we're also using the same morning shift time definition. And we're looking at the start of the report period. And this is the end, so we're looking at the end of the report period, same morning shift. And so if we look at our report again, we're going to see that the start of the shift was 7 a.m. and the end of the shift was 11:03 a.m. But that's what we determined it to be. Now, if we wanted to add a tag to our item table, we could double click on the table, click on Edit List, and then we're open with the Select Data items. Now I'm going to select on Edge WC, and I'm going to navigate to Machine 1, STemp 1. And I'm going to add that, and then click OK, and click OK. So now a new tag has just been added to the table. Now when I run the project, I'm going to save the changes. The Runtime Management Console opens up again, and I'm going to right click and click on Generate. So now we can see that our temperature values have now been updated. And it looks like we have a different state that has just been populated. So if we minimize, we can also see that our report name, work cell raw, has been created. And if we look at our report, this right here is a dynamic text object. If we wanted to add another dynamic text object, we would go to the right-hand side, scroll all the way down to the hashtag T, and click it and drag and drop a rectangle. And in here, this is where we can change the object that we're using. So this is report name, but you can also use the user, version ID, or full file name. But to show the project, to show the name of the project, we're going to use report name. Conversely, on the left-hand side, if you wanted to add another date or time object, you could click on the date and time object on the right-hand side, and then drag and drop a rectangle. And this will open up the date and time. Now you need to give it a new name, so I'm going to call it object date 2. And you can give it a custom time format. I'm going to use a day of the week. So that will display Monday through Sunday, the day of the week that we're currently in. So we're showing Thursday. And maybe we'll put this down here. Okay, so the good thing about an item table is that it shows all of your raw values. The bad thing about the item table is that it shows all of your raw values. So we saw the report that it's only showing, because we're recording values every second, we're getting a lot of values, but only for one state, because it only lasts for 50 seconds. So let's say we wanted to look at a table that showed every time the state changed. So what we would do is we would create a step table. So if we click on the work cell OEE report, this is what I have created. If I double click on the step table, so a step period or a step table generates data for a specific time period. Let's say you want to look at every 10 minutes, you could create a step period that's time-based, and so every 1 hour it would produce one value. But for this step table, we're going to be generating values based off of whenever a step number is based on an item value change. And for the item value change, we're going to be using machine 1 state current. So anytime that machine 1 changes, we're going to generate a new row in our table. Now, each item for a step table needs to be configured individually. So if we look at state, we would click on the step data and then click on edit. And this is where we define the value. We would click on external history server, and this is where we would navigate to the tag. Additionally, I have used the state current in 2 places. I've used it here for state and here for visualize. Now in visualize, the difference between visualize is I have created a advanced option for machine state. And the value format, if I click on value format, whoops, maybe not. If I click on the ellipses, this is where the value will be updated. So if it shows a state 1 or 2, it will display running. If it shows 3, it will display e-stop. If it shows 4, it'll show downtime. If it shows 5, it'll show maintenance. So instead of showing the state value of 1 through 5, it will show a text. And finally, I have created a function inside of the step table using a MultiTag aggregation, which I will show you right now under Tools, MultiTag Aggregation. And this is telling us if our current state is greater than 2, return 0, else return 1. So what we're saying is if the state is 3, 4, or 5, e-stop, maintenance, or downtime, that means the machine is not running. So we're going to replace the value with a 0. Else, if it's 2 or 1, that means that the machine is on. So we're going to return 1. So I'm going to go ahead and run the project. Oh, wait, I need to change. Otherwise, it's going to take a really long time. I need to change the time period. We're going to exit out of the runtime management console. I need to change the time period from morning shift. I'm going to add a new time definition manager called day shift. And in order to add a new time manager, press the plus sign, and then we're going to change the fixed period from, let's see, morning shift is current 5 hours. We're going to change it to day shift, which is current 2 hours. And the reason for doing that is we don't want to pull in the last 5 hours of data because that will be long, or at least it'll be long on the back end. So we're just going to reduce this and say we want to look at the current 2 hours. And we're going to call this day shift. Now, when we click on the step table, the period time definition manager, we're going to change it from morning shift to day shift. And click OK. And same thing with the start and end time. We're going to use day shift. End time, we're going to use day shift. And this OEE calculation, which is the same OEE as Insight, or it's the same, but this is for Dream Report. We're looking at runtime, downtime, and system availability. And we're going to be using the day shift. So when I go ahead and run the project, I'm going to save the changes. And I'm going to click on Work Cell OEE. I'm going to left click on Generate. It might take a minute. And so now we can see a step table has just been created. So when the state, this is the state that we're used to seeing. So 4, 2, 1, 3. If it's 4, we're seeing a downtime. If it's 2, it's running. If it's 1, it's running. If it's 3, it's e-stop. And if it's 1, it's running. And 5 is maintenance. So we can see, and then for the on-off, anytime it's running, it says 1. Anytime it's e-stop, maintenance, or downtime, it shows 0. And so this is useful because then we plug in these on-off values into our statistical table, which has been calculated for OEE. And so we can see that our running time is 54 minutes, downtime is 19 minutes, and availability is 73%. And this is for from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. And you can see the time range. So every time, so let's see, at 6:25, 10 a.m., state was 4. And then at 10:10, the state was 2. So that means that it was in state 4 from 10 a.m. to 10:10 a.m. Okay. Hopefully, most of that made sense and you guys were able to follow along. Do you guys have any questions about what I've done so far? Okay. Now, one of the other charts that I have created beforehand is an SVC chart. An SVC chart is useful for manufacturing if you need to look at specific values for a part, and it needs to be within a specific range. So I'm looking at the X bar chart right now, and if I double click on it, then I can open up the configurations, and we're looking at tube height. If I click on the ellipses, this is the SVC configuration. So it looks like the target is 181 with a lower limit of 180 and an upper limit of 182. And if I go ahead and run this report, and this is going to be simulated data. So it's not based off of Inside or anything that we're producing. And if I left click on the SVC and right click on the generate, we can see an SVC chart has been created. There's also a production chart that I've created, which utilizes a image for the background, and then each text here has actually been set up for a specific data set, and it's also using a should open. Yeah, there we go. The single data object under appearance, it has its own advanced options like we did with machine state. Now, at the bottom here is a chart that's tracking specific values of tank 1 and tank 2. If we open it up, we can look at the chart configurations. I mean, Dream Report is great at having multitude of configurations. So if you can see right here, we have we can select on tank 1 and tank 2, and we can attach the x-axis of tank 2 to tank 1 or make it its own independent. We can define the time period, last 1 week. We could also set up specific days or time to look at for creating a chart. And then also, like we did with the work cell raw and OEE, we could define the time period based off of the time manager, day shift or morning shift. Anytime you want to add a new tag value, we could go into our tag configuration box. And if I wanted to click on temp 1, I could click OK. And then if I wanted to add that value, I would just click the plus sign. Oh, so a color already exists, so I'm going to change the color to be red and then click OK. Now, if I wanted to include the value as well as the moving average, I could do that too. And all I need to do is click the plus sign to generate the report. We're not going to run this. We're just going to cancel out. The other report that I have set up is the batch report. Batch report is useful for comparing batch recipes to one another. And in order to set this up, you would click on the batch definition on the left-hand side. And this is where you would define the batches where you're getting the data source from, and then also the golden batch. And the golden batch is going to be your ideal process, and if you want to compare your two batches to one another. So you could click on last batch. This is actually a draw table, which is created on the right-hand side. If you click on the draw table here, and drag and drop, you'll get a free table definition. And this is how the last batch and golden batch were created. And then also there's a chart that compares the a current batch to the golden batch. Okay. So the one thing I do want to make sure we have time for in the last 10 minutes of this workshop is to go over the web portal data. So this is a web trend data. And so what's useful about this is, as I've said in the past, if you have a report configured for the web report, you can access it through an online URL. So for just to see what goes on, let's go ahead and run the project. And when the runtime management console opens up again, what we're going to do is we're going to click on down below under project access. We're going to click on open project folder and click on configure IIS. And this, every SkyTab every SkyTab machine was previously configured for IIS. So you can go ahead and click IIS configuration. And this goes through the setup process. And then you click OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and open the web portal. And this will open up our Dream Report web portal. And we can see all the reports that we currently have created. And we can click on the web trend data. And this will open up an interactive report that you can modify right now. So I'm clicking on this left-hand side, and I want to look at, if I move the up and down arrow, I want to look at tank 1 and tank 2. And I'm going to click the generate, and this will generate a new report based off of tank 1 and tank 2. Now we can see tank 1 and tank 2. Now let's say I'm currently looking at June 15th to the 25th. Let's say I want to look at June 1st. So I'll click on the start and use the interactive user interface to click on 1 and then click done. Now I could generate it again. And we can, now we're looking at June 1 to the 25th. And now as we scroll over, we can click on the chart. You should be able to. Well, maybe my mouse isn't working. What you can also do is there's interactive buttons here with the show chart 1 and show chart 2. So I'm currently showing chart 1. So if I uncheck this box and click on the show hide charts, now we can see, oh, we're not showing chart 1 or chart 2. So now let's show chart 2. Click on the button again. And now if we scroll down, we will see chart 2. Well, let's go back to chart 1. So you can also see the key calculations. This is updated based off of these specific values. And so anytime, let's say we wanted to look at counter and counter 2, and we're going to generate a new report. Let's say we're happy with the report and we want to save that as a PDF. We could click the Save as PDF button, and this will generate a PDF of the report. The last thing I'd like to show you guys is the Insight dashboard. So I mentioned that we have Insight set up as a data source. So we are currently looking at, we need to look at the web. Click on the web of Insight dashboard. And so we are currently connected to my account. And these is the dashboard that are connected on that account. And this is run off of a share link from Insight. So if I go back to Insight and I go back to my dashboard, so if I go back to the home page, I go back to the home page and I click on my dashboard, M1 dashboard. If I wanted to create this share link, and if I click on share link, get shareable link, and I copy this link into Dream Report, I will be able to see the dashboard. So if I minimize my window, minimize this, and go into the Insight dashboard and click on the object, this is where I pasted my dashboard into Dream Report. And if you want to do this yourself, you can click on the web element and click on custom content. And if you drag and drop a box, this will show the custom content for the URL that we just created. What else? So if we go back to our trend data one more time, another cool feature that we have with Insight is that you can filter out specific tables for a value. So let's say we're looking at, let's see, I see a 1082, so I'm going to filter out that value in this table, 1082. So now we can see all the times where the trend value was 1082. And then you can also organize the timestamp based off of most recent or earliest. And then you can also, if you'd like to, you can view a lot of the reports that you create in PDFs that are not actually set up to run on the web, but they're just, you can view them in the web. Okay, I think that covers everything. Does anyone have any questions?